All right, hello everybody. This is Matt with All About Detail, and this is our shop spotlight. Today we have John Rogerson with us today. This is the fifth vehicle that he's brought to us, and today this is a 1958 Buick Roadmaster. John, tell us a little bit about this car.
Well, we've had this car since 1995. It's actually been a Northern Illinois car all its life, and it's amazing the condition because it hasn't always been in heated storage. The cool part about this 58 Buick Roadmaster, that's the top of the line Buick. In 1936 was the first Roadmaster, and then through 58, and then they changed over to Electra, and then 91 to 96 they had a Roadmaster also.
So Electra brand was out, name was out that long ago too?
Yes, but in 59. This particular car, it's gold mist paint. The oddity is that it's on the 59 color chart and not the 58 chart. So that's kind of weird, but so it must have been a late built in 58 in the summer. The power is a 364, 300 horse car, so it's plenty of power. The problem is it's as heavy as the Denali you were talking about, right?
Well, it's 300 pounds heavier.
Yeah, so you're talking a complete tank here. The one cool feature on these cars is up at the grill. So you can kind of, the lighting, I don't know, but you can kind of see it in there, how it reflects back. This was one of the most expensive grills at the time, and their theory was at Buick, in 56 they were third in sales, 57 they were fifth. They thought, well, we got to glitz them out as best we can, so they put all this chrome on the 58, but they actually price pointed them higher than a Cadillac, and this model turned out they made only $10,300 because you could actually get a Cadillac for less money than this vehicle. So these are relatively rare car, and who saved these back in the day?
That's
so
right.
I can't imagine.
And back in the 50s, chrome was king. The more chrome you had, boy, the better it was.
Right, 58 especially, the headliners, the interior, and it's just unbelievable. So yes.
So underneath the hood, there's a small compressor underneath there. Tell us about that.
Well, so this year they came out with, you hear today talk about airbags and what have you. This car came with 4 airbags. It had its own compressor, a little 2-cylinder pump in there, a whole air tank. So it actually had an air ride suspension. You shut the car off, and I don't know how far down it went, but when you started it up, they would fill up. The problem is, about 61, they're having all these bags blow out of these cars, so they quickly went to a coil spring setup on it, and this car is back to a coil spring, but it did start out with airbags.
So this was literally riding on a cloud. Everybody loved that nice soft ride.
Yeah, well, yeah, anybody that's ridden in these late 50s big GM cars, it is just riding in a boat, literally.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So you've had this car for a number of years. What have you done to it since you've had it?
We've actually done minimal work. We had the front seat actually finally wore itself thin enough that Riggs out of St. Charles replaced the front seat for us, and they got such an incredible match. If you don't know that seat's been replaced, you wouldn't know it. And other than that, I had a little paint work done on the other side of the car from a scratch that went down through here. Somebody must have scratched it in somewhere along the line. But other than that, the chrome, the interior, it still has the original motor and transmission still in this car.
So tell us about the ownership history of this. You have some information about that.
So the original owner was the Robinson family up in North Aurora. They bought this car at St. Charles Buick up in St. Charles. He had it from 58. He actually passed away in 62, but in 1964, my Uncle Jim and his friend Bill actually put a new garage door on the house, and Bill ended up buying the car from Mrs. Robinson because she didn't drive. So anyway, he ended up with a car. He never hardly drove the car, but sold it to his Uncle Ray in 1970, and Ray's wife, she drove the car 70, 71, 72, and then it was parked at the farm and was never driven. And in 95, he actually passed away. We purchased the car. It was actually at an estate sale. We didn't buy it that day, but 6 months later, we bought it from the guy who bought it at the sale. So not very many ownerships, and the car has not gone very far when you think about it over all these years.
Right, that's pretty amazing. What's the furthest you've traveled in this car?
We've been to Des Moines, Iowa at the Good Guys show 2 or 3 times. That's 300 each way, so that was a pretty good cruise in it. One cool thing on the car, so these old 50s cars, you pull out the vent and you get the air that comes out underneath. And on this particular car, this window back here, so if you leave all your windows closed and just open this window, it actually brings the air right through the car. And if it's not, 85 or 90, it's actually pretty comfortable in there driving down the highway. And this actually at 300 horse, you can cruise all day long at 80 mile an hour, but there is one problem. It's a drum brake car. So when you put the hooks on,
you look out,
baby. Getting her to stop is a problem. But the cruising speed is not an issue. So 300 horse back then is a lot of horsepower for those, that era.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yes. So
anyway. Well, we've had this car in the shop for several days, and we've had other customers come in here, and everybody is just ogling about this car. They just love it. It's a beautiful piece. We enjoyed working on it. John brought it in. He's like, well, just freshen up the paint and just freshen up this a little bit. We got in there, and we got a little carried away, and we couldn't stop ourselves. So we just kind of went through the whole car. We did do a multi-step correction on this and then put our entry-level coating on it. And as you can see, the car just turned out absolutely beautiful. I'm super excited to see this out in the sun. This is just going to be blinding. We're going to have to put on 2 pairs of sunglasses, I think, once it gets out there. You have anything else to tell us about this car, John?
Well, the one thing is a little bit, so they made 10,300, I might have said that already. So it is a hard top, which is, relatively rare. Both these windows come down. You don't see that. It was just starting to come into
the pillarless to do that in there, yeah.
So, yeah, so you could, one of the features is you can have on the floor, it's like a button on the floor to change the radio stations in it, which was kind of a cool feature. Kidding. So, yeah, so. Yeah, other than that, it's just a relatively rare car because of the pricing. A lot of Buick Specials, Centuries, but the Roadmaster name itself is there a better name than Buick Roadmaster?
Right.
That's what they ought to be selling today, Buick Roadmasters.
Well, very good. Well, thank you for bringing this in for us to work on, John. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody for watching, and look us up on Facebook and our Instagram as well. Have a good day, John.